As a soldier and messenger of the Lord of the galaxies, I say greetings. Whereas the Holy Quran of Islam was revealed by one man, the Prophet Muhammad, the books of the Bible were revealed by numerous individuals over the course of thousands of years, according to history. Moses is the author of the first 5 books of the Old Testament: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, referred to as the Pentateuch, meaning 5 books, or the Torah, meaning the law. Many of the other books of the Old Testament are plagued with ghost writers. The books for which the authors are completely unknown are as follows: Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st and 2nd Kings, Esther, and Job. Although 1st and 2nd Samuel are from an unknown author, it is alleged that the writings of the prophet Samuel were their foundation. The books of Chronicles, Ezra, and Nehemiah have been ascribed to the prophet Ezra. The book of Psalms is mostly from unknown authors. However, at least 73 Psalms have been ascribed to the prophet David. A few other Psalms have been ascribed to Solomon, Heman, Ethan, Moses, Korah, and the clans of Asaph. The books of Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Solomon are alleged to have been written by the prophet Solomon. The books of Jeremiah and Lamentations are alleged to have been written by the prophet Jeremiah. As for the rest of the Old Testament books, each prophet authored his own book. This would include Isaiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, and Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. Now, the first 4 books of the New Testament of the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, are commonly known as the Gospels or the Good News. However, only 2 of these authors, Matthew and John, were of the famous 12 disciples or apostles who were chosen by Jesus himself. Mark, the author of the gospel bearing his name, was alleged to be a disciple or student of Peter, also called Simon and Cephas, who was one of the famous 12 chosen by Jesus. Consequently, the Gospel of Mark should actually be titled the Gospel of Peter, according to Mark. The reason that Mark elected to title Peter's declarations or accounts after himself is completely unknown. Although Peter didn't author a gospel in the Bible, as did his companions, Matthew and John, he did write personal letters, 1st Peter and 2nd Peter, which were included in the New Testament. In addition to John's gospel, his personal letters, 1st John, 2nd John, and 3rd John, were also included in the New Testament. Consequently, only 3 of the famous 12 disciples who walked with Jesus have writings of any kind within the New Testament of the Bible. Further, only 2 disciples chosen by Jesus, not of the famous 12, but of the 70, have their personal writings included in the New Testament. James and Jude, the stepbrothers of Jesus. Now, isn't it strange that only 3 of the famous 12 and only 2 of the 70 disciples chosen by Jesus himself have writings in the New Testament? Isn't that strange? Yeah, fortunately, the Bible's omitted Gospels and other early Christian documents are available to the public in this day in the form of the lost books of the Bible and the forgotten books of Eden. Mashallah, it is the will of Allah. Now, the writings of an actual disciple who walked with or was chosen by Jesus would be considered the most credible testimony. The writings of a student of a disciple of Jesus, such as Mark, the student of Peter, would be considered less credible. And the writings of one who was not a disciple or a student of a disciple of Jesus would be considered not credible whatsoever. The 2 individuals that most prominently fit this description are Luke and Paul of Tarsus in the country of Turkey in the New Testament. Luke is alleged to be the author of the Gospel of Luke and the Acts of the Apostles in the New Testament. He was a physician and a friend of Paul, also known as Saul. Luke was not one of the 12 or the 70 chosen by Jesus, nor was he even a disciple of one of these. As a consequence, the actual source for his testimony regarding the life of Jesus is completely unknown. Now, Paul was a Jew of Roman citizenship in the city of Tarsus. He was a demon sent by Satan to destroy the teachings of Jesus. You didn't hear me, did you? He and the demon Stephen taught people to worship the human Jesus and create churches. Jesus never told anyone to do either of these. You may believe us or disbelieve us, you will come to know the truth of our words. Mashallah, it is the will of Allah. Now, Paul was not one of the 12 or the 70 chosen by Jesus, nor was he even a disciple of one of these. The term Christians was invented by Paul and his friend Barnabas. Here's the Bible. Bible, Acts 11, verse 25. Then departed Barnabas to Tarsus for to seek Saul. Verse 26. And the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. Paul is alleged to be the author of several epistles or letters, which include Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, 1st and 2nd Timothy, Titus, and Philemon. The two remaining documents of the New Testament are Hebrews and Revelation. The alleged author of Revelation, the most powerful writing regarding Armageddon, or the annihilation of humanity, is John the Revelator. His background is shrouded in mystery. The author of Hebrews is completely unknown. Yeah. It is no wonder that the gospel of Jesus was completely eliminated from the Bible. The editing demons in skin suits most certainly had no intention of allowing anyone beyond their sinister ranks to read the actual overwhelmingly damning verbatim testimony of Jesus himself. Most of the major prophets, Moses, Isaiah, Daniel, and so on, authored their own books. Therefore, do you actually believe that the most prominent or significant figure of the Gospel or New Testament had no writing of his own? Here is wisdom. That which the demons in skin suits have hidden regarding Jesus and other prophets shall inevitably be made manifest indeed. Mashallah, it is the will of Allah.